Hello everyone and welcome. In this video we're going to be doing a review of the Phantom 3. I'm sure most of you already have the Phantom 3 who are watching it. Now for those of you who don't have the Phantom or don't have a drone, this is the perfect video for you. The reason I'm doing this video about the Phantom 3 is that I actually are getting the new Mavic. So getting the Mavic, the DJI drone, it is coming in the mail anytime within the next month. And I'm selling this one. So before I open the box, this is my protective case for the drone. I'm just showing you how humongous this box for the drone itself actually is. Now I use this for aerial photography, which means if I want to get like cinematography or movies, something from the air, I gotta have a drone for it. So this is my review of the drone itself. I'm gonna start in a second. First thing you need to have a drone and to fly it is a smartphone. So for those of you who don't have a smartphone, it is a requirement for you to have a smartphone to fly a drone. This is the iPhone, by the way. Let me show you the drone itself. This is the box it came with, and I got this box as an extra for just buying this drone. It's kind of cool, isn't it? Let me show you the drone itself. Pick this up. Make sure the cell phone doesn't fall accidentally when you open it. Throw it in there. So for the drone itself, it comes with the drone. That is the size of the drone itself. You have the remote. Look at the size of this. Huge. Now I need the cell phone again. This is the biggest pain that I have with this drone itself, is that when you fly it, you need to have a cell phone. Now the Mavic, it has the same exact issue, but the control is smaller. So the first thing you do is you have to find the network on this. Once you find the network, you're hooking it up, the network, to the drone in order for you to fly this. Then when you fly it up, before you fly it, you gotta see what you're doing. So you put it right on this, like this. So to set up your drone, what you have to do is, first off, you have to put your cell phone, smartphone, right into this thing. This is like really hard to put in it. It's not that easy, see, like. But the good thing is that since it's hard to put in it, it's hard to get it out. So it's not just gonna like fall off accidentally when you do use the drone itself. So you do need to have a cell phone for this operation. You put this right on it, right there, so it's secure. So now you have the cell phone in this position, and you're not done yet, because you have to go in and purchase an extra app that's going to cost you around 20 bucks just to fly this drone itself. So there is an extra expense after you already pay for all those items. Now you don't have to have a storage case for the drone, but how you gonna transport it? It's kind of hard to transport it, and in a vehicle, if it's gonna fall down, that's not good, you know, it's gonna break it. So to start up the drone, there's a few things you have to do. First off, the battery itself. Now that's a very nice battery, but you gotta turn it on before you can turn the drone itself. So you have to charge the battery, you have to charge the control, you have to charge your cell phone. That's 3 different things that you have to charge before you're going and using it. 1, 2, 3, a lot, right? Now, the problem with using the cell phone, and this is why there is a little bit of an issue by having a drone that uses a cell phone, is that it's going to drain your cell phone battery. If it drains your cell phone battery, you can't really make phone calls with it. So if you really need your cell phone, and you're going to be using it to fly the drone, remember that. Now, it only gives you 20 minutes of flight time or so, like 20 to 30 minutes around there with one battery. So if that's not enough for you, get a second battery. But for me, like one battery is just fine. You know, I did all my footage, I'm done, that's it. So I don't have to worry about taking 2 different drones for me to fly. Second issue, phone calls or anything else that disturbs you in the middle when you're flying might actually break your connection. You might actually have a problem with it, but you can always, with an Apple, take away the screen, take the phone call, and switch back to the app itself. So it takes a few seconds, but you have to be careful. You have to know how to fly this before you go about and just fly it. You have to know how to use your cell phone pretty good too. So that's about this. So to turn it on, here's what you have to do. One, you turn on your cell phone. Then, second of all, turn the control on. Make sure all the buttons are up here. That shows it has enough battery. This one is like 3 of them up there. That's okay. Next, you have to turn the drone on. So if you're taking the drone itself, here's the battery. Putting the battery in here. And this is the thing that gave me the most issues with the drone itself. I plugged it in, right? I'm just pressing on it once, nothing happens. Pressing on it again, nothing happens. I was like, I got a detective drone. It's not working. But I didn't even read what it says here. It actually says right on this, and you should always read the instructions, how to turn this on. So what you have to do is you just have to press on this and hold it in for 2 seconds. What you're waiting for is to hear a sound that it's on. And accidentally, right now, I turn it off. So it is a little bit of a pain here. So I press on it once, it's on. Now we are going to be doing it again. I'm just showing how complicated it is to turn this on. Now we're waiting for it to actually turn on. And it's not on yet. Got it actually turn off again. So that's a little bit of an issue with this drone itself, is the weird way for this to turn itself on. So I pressed on it once, press on it again, I'm waiting for 2 seconds and waiting for it to turn on. I just did it. So it's a little bit tricky to turn this on because you have to press on it, for 2 seconds and hold it in until it turns itself on. Now we have all the lights in. So this is actually officially on. You can see the lights and it made the sound. But it's not going to work right away. And if you don't do it right, if you don't press on it once and then hold it in for 2 seconds in a special way, it's not going to turn itself on. And you might think you got a defective one, but you don't. But that's another thing I really dislike about this drone itself, is the weird way that it turns itself on. The flight is excellent. I mean, it flies good. It is very steady. I like this about this drone itself, but this is not this cool about it. Now, I don't want to fly this indoors. This is like totally out of control. If it flies right here, it's going to hit somebody, it's going to hit me, there's propellers. Now it's really unsafe. So what I'm going to be doing is unplugging this. So the easiest way for you to turn something off is to unplug the battery. Now it's off. I know for sure it's not going to fly without the battery. So I'm going to turn the whole thing off, but I'm going to be talking more about the drone itself. So when it flies, the safety first, remember, don't get close to the drone itself. Never get close to any drone. Now, there is a way, you've seen probably in YouTube videos, people like grabbing it from the bottom like this. I mean, after you could do this for enough times and nothing is going to happen, but it's going to take one unlucky time that you grab it a little bit off and or something happens. Those propellers are super dangerous. There's nothing here that stops it from flying, and if it hits something, including your hand or anything else, you can get seriously hurt by those things. Thankfully, this is plastic, not metal. So it will damage, I mean, you will get hurt, but it's not going to chop your finger off because it's just plastic. So it is bad, but you don't want to get hurt by those things. Trust me, this is not a kid's toy. So if you have kids around and they're playing with this stuff, that's just a bad idea. You don't want your kids to be playing with one of those toys. It is a toy, but it's a toy for adults. This is not a toy for kids. So always have supervision in here. If you're flying this thing and your kid is watching it, you can fly, that's fine, but make sure it is far away from the kid and keep them away from those things. So those are dangerous stuff. Now another thing is, you don't want to fly this in front of a crowd of people. If there's a bunch of gatherings, you think it's cool to fly this over them, it's just a bad idea. Those things do drop. Something can happen. The battery could go, I mean, if this thing goes all the way to 0, Nothing is gonna keep this from dropping all the way from the top. This is why you should always bring the back. Some people like to program those things and they just let it go and then it flies back and stuff. You should always monitor this at all times. So this is not a toy. Now, the controls themselves, it's gonna take you a while to get used to this stuff. If you have flown video games, you played video games before, you will be able to master this in no time. But it's still, it's not that easy to fly those initially. After a while, you gain more confidence, you figure out how to play this and everything. Make sure that those metallic things right here, you see those things? Has to go all the way to the top. So it's gonna work. Other than that, if you do it less than that, it just takes away the signal. Now, for the camera itself, there's a button right there. It looks like this. And when you move it up and down, the camera right here goes up and down. So keep that in mind. Right now it's not on, but when it is on, you're either putting it like this, so it takes photos right there, up front, when it's flying, or you can put it to the bottom, and it takes pictures or video right on the bottom. So it's up to you to decide what you want to do. Now, here's another thing that I haven't been able to figure it out right away. But here is what you need to do. First off, memory card right there. There's a small slot here that you put your memory card into. Now, keep one thing in mind, that this will get filled up pretty fast. Another thing is to eject it, to get it out. Pretty simple. You press on it really quick and it gets out. Press on it quick and it goes in. That's the only way that it goes in and out. And it took me a while to figure this out actually, because initially if you just play with it and you try to get it out, you can't. There's only one way it goes out and in. Another thing that you need to know is that, look at the size of this, it's like miniature, small, like super tiny. And then after you do this, this is micro SD. Now to put this in your computer, you actually need a micro SD reader. And you put it right inside the micro SD reader in the SD card. And that's how it's gonna read this item. Now, you have to have a micro SD card for this to work. You can't just go and take this, plug it in into the computer. And I tried this before, it doesn't do nothing. So let me put this right back in. And that's also tricky. Make sure you put it exactly how you actually got it out. If you put it the wrong way, it's not gonna go in. And you're going to break this. So I put this exactly in here. Another thing about this is if you're going to be flying something like this, here is another issue that I found with it. First off, this is supposed to tell you that this is the front, okay? And it goes this way. Other than that, there's nothing else that tells you which side is the front, which side is the back. So if it's going to be flying like this, you have to figure out which side is actually the front when you're flying this. Now, some people try to fly those at night. Yeah, you're gonna see the lights and everything, but it's so much harder to control this. You're not even supposed to be flying this stuff at night because it's so hard to know where it's going. It's bad enough that you can't even see this in the morning sometimes, because if you fly this high enough, because it's white and the sky is blue, or you're flying it right into the clouds, you're not gonna be seeing where it's gonna go. And what's going to happen is eventually, if you lose control of this thing, eventually you have to get it down to the ground and it can break. So this is an expensive toy for you to go and accidentally break too. And I paid a lot of money for this. So do I recommend for you to get this? I mean, this is probably the best one I had. I had the pellet before and I wasn't happy with it. The control over there is humongous. If you see my other video, you will see like this is huge control. This is much better. But the Mavic, the control for the Mavic is like so small. And the Mavic itself is small. And I don't need to carry this humongous piece of equipment when I go out anywhere. This is not handy. This is not practical. This is just a lot of equipment to carry to do some aerial photography or to do video photography just for fun. Now, you're not supposed to get profit off this for commercial purposes because that's against the FAA rules. But if you're doing this for fun, amateur stuff, yeah, this is totally cool and they totally allow you to do this. So don't forget, if you are gonna get one of those and you're gonna be using it, the price is gonna definitely drop for those with the Mavic coming out. You can definitely get this. You can play around with this. This is the cheapest one you can get that is decent. Other ones are not that good, and the video quality and the movie quality is excellent. So what you're going to be doing, you have to make sure you charge all 3 items before you go out. Make sure this is totally charged. This is charged. This works. Make sure you test everything out somewhere locally before you go on a big trip and then figure out that you did something wrong. So this is everything that it comes with. This is everything you need to have for you to actually fly this. I'm just showing you this around, the whole thing. And let me just show you the big difference between everything. The drone, me, the control, the cell phone. Just showing you the comparison size between everything. And the humongous battery.